So I end up in New York City around 16, roughly, and that's usually what happens if you're really going for it. The big institutions in the big cities tend to want to get a hand on you pretty soon in the game. So when you go do the summer intensives, which you do a couple years, maybe at 13, 14, 15, they're already scouting you out like baseball camp. They're looking for the potential. You're all aware of that, all these disciplines. And if you're lucky enough to be seen as someone who has potential talent, they say, all right, next fall, winter semester, you're staying. You're not going back to the little town in PA. So I was like, all right, I will stay. And with parental approval, I stayed in Manhattan at 16, started training at the School of American Ballet, which is official school to New York City Ballet. And I trained there for a few years, pretty quick, because then I became an apprentice with the New York City Ballet, and I danced there for 5 years. And that's pretty much known as the company of Balanchine, George Balanchine, and Jerome Robbins also was a co-director there. At the time I danced there, Jerry was still living, and I'm very grateful for having had that experience to work alongside Jerome Robbins. When I say Jerry, I mean Jerome Robbins. Do you all know who Jerome Robbins is? I hope so. Yes? Okay, I say Jerry, Jerome Robbins, West Side Story, I mean, he's classic. So he was a man of many different attitudes and temperaments, and that's why I can tell you some stories about him later. And if you've ever heard stories about him, you might know what I'm talking about, or read his bio. But he was a good man to me, and he very much supported my years at New York City Ballet.